I can't believe we're witnessing this as the St. Louis Blues continue to dominate the NHL since Jim Montgomery has taken over the reins and key players stepping up. And it doesn't stop there. We get a massive update on the St. Louis Blues and their top prospect. We have a lot to break down on the St. Louis Blues success, their top prospect, and a lot more in this video. So you're going to want to stick around for that. Before I get into it, if you're enjoying this NHL content or St. Louis Blues content, make sure to go down and hit that free subscribe button. We'll keep you up to date on the St. Louis Blues and the rest of the NHL for the remainder of this crazy season. But with that, we got to hop straight into this episode where we're going to talk about the hottest team in the NHL, the St. Louis Blues. The St. Louis Blues, over their last 18 games, are 14-2-2, which is the best record in the NHL during the span. We know they're on an 8-game win streak. We know that Jim Montgomery has completely changed the culture of this team, and it doesn't even stop there. Looking at key players stepping up within this lineup has been huge for this Blues team. Robert Thomas, over the 6-game span, has 25 points. Dylan Holloway, which we will touch on, 22 points, 18 games played. Sorry, Robert Thomas played 18 games as well. 6 goals, 10 goals for Dylan Holloway. Kyrou sitting there with 18 points. All these guys are a point per game. You have a couple of guys just under a point per game, and Jake Neighbors, Braden Shin, Cam Fowler has been looking like a steal of a trade. This team is the hottest team in the NHL for a reason, and it starts with the personnel on this team. Listen, Dylan Holloway has been outstanding for the St. Louis Blues team. We've seen them offer sheet him in this season from the Edmonton Oilers, a colossal screw up from the Oilers, as Dylan Holloway has been one of the best players in the NHL since the Four Nations break and since Jim Montgomery has taken over the St. Louis Blues team. We can see on the season in 74 games, Dylan Holloway has 26 goals, 36 assists for 62 points, 172 shots. And the biggest thing is he's still only 23 years old on an incredible contract anchoring down the top 6 of this Blues team. Listen, if you're an Oilers fan watching this for some reason, you should be looking for your GM to be fired, letting this type of player walk, and giving Jeff Skinner even more money, just to throw a little shade at the Edmonton Oilers. But this is the Blues video, so let's not even focus on that, as we do know Dylan Holloway is a St. Louis Blue. I mean, looking at the stats since Jim Montgomery took over from Jay Frisch on Twitter, you can see the Blues are officially the 3rd best record in the NHL since February. Don't mind this because this is not the record up to date. They also have the 5th best expected goal differential in the NHL since Jim Montgomery was hired on November 25th per Sports Logic. Now you can look at the graph yourself and see how much the team has jumped with their offense and defense since St. Louis got Jim Montgomery from the Boston Bruins. Once again, I don't understand why the Bruins let him go, but it does seem like every team in the NHL wants to help St. Louis be good, and that's exactly what they did, giving him Dylan Holloway, letting Jim Montgomery come to this team to be the head coach. But looking at the record, since February 1st, we can say they have the best record in the NHL, 16-3-2. The teams behind them, the Colorado Avalanche, the Dallas Stars, the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Winnipeg Jets, but the St. Louis Blues are the best team in the NHL since February 1st. This is insane to see the turnaround of this Blues team, and not that they were playing bad to start the year, but this is the team that has over-succeeded what a lot of people are expecting, and it all started with Jim Montgomery coming to this team, coming out of the Four Nations break. This team is set to take a playoff spot. They're currently in the wild card spot too. Looks like they're going to overtake the Minnesota Wild. And it's just insane watching this team really start to grow with each other, and still a young core. I mean, Dylan Holloway, as I said, playing on that second line. Braden Shen, the captain, sitting on the second line with him. Robert Thomas is young. There's so many young names in this lineup. Jake Neighbors is another guy. And on the defensive end, picking up Cam Fowler has been a huge pickup for this team. Broberg, another name from the Edmonton Oilers. Still do not know how they got both of these guys on an offer sheet, with the goaltending. Jordan Binnington seeing him win gold during the Four Nations break, coming off that as a hot goaltender with Hover there as well. This team is electric, and it's not even touching on the players that are currently out of the lineup right now and set to return soon. Looking at this, Buchnevich is a guy set to join this team and is currently joining them on the road trip. Parayko was out for 6 weeks when it led into this month, but it does seem like he will be back for the playoffs. And we see Dvorsky, a young player, making his debut on the St. Louis Blues team just recently. Torrey Krug is out, but looking at the defensive end on this team, they have been locked down with key players coming up: Justin Falk, Broberg, Fowler, Leddy, even Suter. These guys have been gelling. The whole St. Louis team has been gelling, and they're not even at full strength yet. I mean, as I said, you see guys already out of the current lineup. And listen, we already see their young guys stepping in, and Dvorsky, who did play his first NHL game with the St. Louis Blue, and it does seem like he's set to get a few more games going in towards the end of the season. We've seen him absolutely dominate in the AHL this season: 20 goals, 23 assists, for 43 points before getting promoted. A former 10th overall pick in 2023. The Blues are oozing with prospects, and it doesn't even stop at Dvorsky, where we do see today, which is a massive update and massive for the St. Louis Blues. We see Jimmy Snuggerud is a Blue. He did sign his ELC with them as he finished his season with Michigan. He had a great season with Michigan, which we're going to touch on now. Sorry, with Minnesota. I shouldn't have said Michigan. That is on me. But looking at the 40 games played, 24 goals, 27 assists for 51 points. A 23rd round pick in 2022. He's finally making his way to St. Louis, and it does seem like he is set to join this team on the road trip, or sorry, on the homestand when they do play on Monday. Getting Snuggerud into this lineup is just another young guy. You sign him to his ELC, he'll get some games. Get a signing bonus, you get a year burned off his ELC. But this is a young piece that can be injected into this lineup. I mean, we've seen Matthew Nyes do it with the Toronto Maple Leafs when he joined them in their series versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. Getting a young, hungry player to join this lineup, someone that was just a part of the upset in the NCAA tournament. This is a guy looking to make an instant impact. And hey, even if he doesn't stay in the lineup going into the playoffs, you're still getting to see him live in action in the NHL, and the future is slowly coming up with him and Dvorsky looking to make it on this team. I mean, looking at Snuggerud and his elite prospects page going into the draft, he really has a great understanding of how to create for others. He holds onto the puck and lets play develop, cuts along the width of the ice to manipulate defenders and disguise them with lookoffs. You see both a high level of processing speed and anticipation abilities in some of his plays. This is awesome to see of a guy going into the draft when he goes in, playing in the Big Ten, putting up 24 goals, 27 assists, 451 points. We've seen him in the World Juniors. Everything is looking like he will be a star player in the NHL in the future. He might not be the best player on the St. Louis Blues, but he's going to have an immediate impact. But I mean, listen, what's your guys' thoughts on this run that St. Louis has been having? What's your thoughts on what Jim Montgomery has brought to this team? What's your thoughts on the young guys making this roster? Go down and leave a comment below because I love reading through them. While you're down there, leave a like, subscribe, share this with your friends. We'll be back with another episode, so if you don't want to miss out on that, sorry, it's been a late day for me. But I've been your host, Mark Bye, and hopefully enjoy this episode. If you did, go down and leave a like. Other than that, have a good night.